The Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries has been rebuilding lives for more than 100 years. The nonprofit faith-based organization helps the homeless, addicted, and poor get back on their feet through a number of services, including substance abuse treatment, emergency shelter, permanent housing, job training, and counseling. Joining me now is the Rescue Mission's Chief Operating Officer, Barbara Willis, along with 3 former clients who now work for the mission. Sonya Bailey is Director of the Women's Substance Abuse Treatment Facility. Herbert Morris heads up the 3rd Street Emergency Shelter for Men. And Keith Bradley leads the mission's DEVOS Ministry Center. Welcome, all of you, to American Black Journal.
Thank you so much for having us.
So Barbara, I'm going to start with you. Tell us more about Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries.
I've been with the ministry for about 25 years. Wow. The ministry actually started in 1909, so we're talking about 111 years that it's been around. Yeah. Started as a soup kitchen, and now we are in 5 counties in Michigan. We have shelter, transitional housing, permanent supportive housing, veterans program, returning citizens program, teen moms, on and on. Mm-hmm. So we just kind of cover the gamut there. Yeah. We kind of take pride in what we do and the compassion and caring that our staff has. I think that's really key. We have a president, Dr. Audie, who is very compassionate, but also moves ahead. Mm-hmm. So he sees the need, and we're there. So we're everywhere. Mm-hmm. But the 3 staff people that we have here today are 3 of our jewels, having come through the programs and are now directors, so we like to kind of focus on them today.
And we're going to get to their stories in a bit, but I want to talk a little bit about the way people see these issues and how to deal with them, how hard they are to deal with. I think a lot of people think it's hopeless and that you can't turn somebody's life around if they get themselves into that situation. Talk about what it is about the rescue mission that proves that wrong. What are you doing that shows that this isn't hopeless?
I think the main thing, we are a Christian organization, so we deal with the spiritual side to give hope. We have clinical staff, credential staff, and they're able to kind of work around all of those issues. But I think the primary thing is the compassion of our staff and how and many of them have been through, so they know how to relate. It's not kind of a standoffish thing, but they know how to relate and pull people in.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some of these great stories we have around the table here. Sonya, you work as the Women's Substance Abuse Treatment Director, but tell us your story, how you came to that place.
Thank you so much. I do work as the director for Genesis House 3, which is our substance abuse treatment facility for women and children. I am honored that I have an opportunity to serve, as once I was homeless myself. And I remember thinking, like, God, when you get me out of this, and I have an opportunity to help somebody else, I'm going to make sure that I can treat them the way I want to be treated. So I have the opportunity to do that daily. It is both rewarding and, you know, you go home and you think about lives that are changed. It brings a smile on your face. And you look forward to the next person that you can assist, because again, I once was hopeless. I once felt like, I don't know if I'm going to ever get out of it, but when I do, I am going to help to pull somebody else up. So I love it. Yeah.
So tell us a little about what brought you to the rescue mission. I mean, you talked about being in a really desperate situation. What was it that said to you, this is the place to go, and this is the place that I'll stay and get better at?
Well, actually, I've been there 16 years, and there was a young lady that went to the same church I went to, and she had brought an application for for Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries for someone else. And that individual decided that wasn't something that she really wanted to do. So I just happened to be standing around. I said, I'll take that application.
Right?
Yes. And it was a Christian organization, so I was able to share in my own faith. And so I knew, once I heard some of the things that Detroit Rescue Mission did, I said, I have to be a part of that organization. And I am happy that I made that decision 16 years ago.
Keith, what about you?
How you doing?
Good to have you here.
Yes, yes it is, yes it is.
Tell us your story.
Well, I touched the rescue mission doors January 7th, 2008. I was in a bad state at that point. I was hopeless, I was penniless, I was homeless, I was addicted to alcohol and crack cocaine. And I had knew individual had went to the Detroit Rescue Mission some years before. And when he had went to Detroit Rescue Mission, his life got better. So I made it to the door of the Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries on 3rd Street, and I knocked at the door, and they opened the door for me. And they told me to come on in, Keith, we're gonna love you until you learn how to love yourself. And that's exactly what they did, the Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries. You know, every time I say the Detroit Rescue Mission, I have to say ministries, because this is a ministry. You know, they led me back to Christ. I hadn't remembered the last time I had prayed. They took me in as family, like we do, and my life has gotten better since that day. Yes.
What was it about the rescue mission that was different, perhaps, than other things you might have tried to get away from what?
Oh, the
what
difference
you
with
were
the
in?
Detroit Rescue Mission is it's like family, it's the ministry. That people that helped me was former clients, and they could relate, they could understand when I'm telling them I'm going through something. They can relate to me, and I just felt that. I felt the love that was inside the ministry, and that's what made me want it to stay. Then my life just started to evolve. I started thinking different. I started looking different. I started to act different from being within the ministry.
Yeah.
Yes,
Herb, what's your
Yes.
story?
Well, I came to the Detroit Rescue Mission in 2010 after serving 3 years in prison from alcohol and substance abuse issues. They had a program while I was in prison that you could come to the mission. I forget what was it? I think it was NPRI.
NPRI.
Yeah, and you can come if you want to change your life, and that's what I wanted to do. I had came up in Battle Creek, and things weren't, you know, I had, like, I guess, burnt my bridges. So I wanted to start fresh and new. And the Detroit Rescue Mission opened their arms to me, and everything has been different since.
Yeah. It's interesting to me that all three of you have stayed and are working with other people in that situation. But I'm also curious about what you think led you to the situation you were in the first place. What were the things that went wrong for you?
The things that went wrong, my self-esteem was low, and employment was high in Battle Creek. I couldn't keep a job. Well, I probably could keep a job if I wasn't using substances, but you know, that's what it was, the substance abuse, the drinking, and my self-esteem at that time.
Yeah.
And also, I didn't have Christ in my life.
Right. Keith?
You know, in my case, you know, what led me to the Detroit Rescue Mission, it started back in 1984 when the crack epidemic hit the city of Detroit. I was a young man at the time. I really didn't know how bad it was. So I got caught in that era, you know, and once I got caught in that era, it was I thought it was just phasing. Then I look up 10 years later, I'm still phasing. So I started to search for some help. I started to pray more often, but it'd be hard, you know, when you're in your active addiction.
How old were you?
I was 22.
Okay. Wow.
I was 22. My life started spiraling out of control. I look around my neighborhoods, I see my friends that we all got caught up. A lot of us got caught up during that crack epidemic that hit us so hard, hit the city of Detroit so hard. I'm from the east side of Detroit, and it hit us hard. But when I look back now, I thank God for that to bring me to the point where I'm at today. So it was a blessing. It was dark days, but now it's a blessing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sonya, what about you?
Well, for myself, I actually did not have an addiction. However, I wanted to be grown. So I kind of ended up hanging with the wrong people.
Right.
And my pride would not allow me to return home. So I thought, let me do this. I can do this on my own. And those decisions, the pride not allowing myself to say, I need help, let me go home, because I had a wonderful mother. So I could have gone home, but I, again, wanted to be grown, wanted to kind of do it my way. So I ended up homeless, and but I'm glad that I have an opportunity to swallow my pride, give my life back to Christ, and to actually now bring some other people with me.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. You have no better argument for what you're doing than these three stories sitting around.
And the beauty for each one of them, we talk about all the time, is they humbled themselves. They came out of their addiction, they humbled themselves, took very lowly positions, but they were faithful for several years, well, many years in some cases. So now they're all directors, and we're just grateful for that.
Yeah. The struggle to get everybody to this point obviously sometimes results in failure. What do you do when that happens?
Keep the door open, because they'll usually be back. I know when I first started working with the ministry, I was at one of the facilities, and I just get so excited, when I see somebody really turn around. And then maybe several months later, they come back. And that was disheartening, but that's a part of the process.
Yes.
You fall down, you get up, you just keep getting up. And so that was a lesson for me. But these three are just, again, our jewels, and they know what to do and how to do it.
Well, I'm really glad you brought them, and I'm glad to meet all three of you. And good luck.
Thank you for having
Yeah.
us.
Thanks for that.
Thank you so much.